Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who is trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody who has a dream that wants to aspire higher and accomplish that dream. This week's Monday conversation, I'm sitting down with Shani Hill from Las Vegas, Nevada. She is the owner of Heavenly Jars LLC. Shani, how are you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for sitting down with us this week on a Monday conversation. So Shawnee, let's just dive right into it. When did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Like, how did you get where you are now?
Well, I always knew that it was very uncomfortable for me to work for people, and it was very hard for me to like take direction from people. I always wanted to, just tell myself what to do. So I moved to Las Vegas from New York, and I found myself struggling trying to find a job. So I did finally have an interview, and I went to my interview, and I remember just feeling uncomfortable being there. I'm like, this is not for me. I need to do my own thing. So ideas kept coming to me, but I kept pushing away because I'm like, I'm not really a baker. I'm more of a cook. But I never really dived into that. So I'm like, baking, I've never done that. So I kept saying, no, I'm not going to do that. The idea kept coming to me. I kept pushing it away. So I remember my daughter was graduating from kindergarten, and there was these cupcakes there. And usually cupcakes, I'm like, the frosting, I just want to swipe that off.
Absolutely.
Just throw the whole cupcake away because the frosting is so ill. So I remember eating this cupcake, like, I'm going to just give it a try. And I loved it, the frosting and the cupcake. I'm like, yeah, I have to find these cupcakes. I went back to the teacher. I said, where's these cupcakes? She told me where they was at. I went to the store. I couldn't find them. I'm like, yo, I have to make my own version of fraud. Like, I had to find that again. So
Yeah.
I remember going home, and I'm like, I got to create a frosting. Like, everyone has cake jars. I'm seeing cake jars everywhere, but nothing is different about it. Mine's have to be different. So I'm like, the frosting, because nobody likes frosting. It's butter and sugar. That don't go together. I'm like, we got to do something like ice cream. So I'm like, I created this frosting that was like ice cream. And then I had different flavors, and then it just blew up from there. I had 8 flavors starting out, and now I have 20. So I just kept expanding every day, working hard to get this perfect frosting. And I had people trying it out, and they loved it.
That's beautiful that you said, the fact that you just didn't like somebody else telling you what to do. I relate to that a lot personally because that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never liked spending 6, 8, 10 hours of my life at another place making somebody else rich. I never was comfortable with that. I could never really excel under a job or a career structure. That's just me personally. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, why I always had that thirst to really go out and do things on my own. So I'm happy that you actually mentioned that. As far as the cake jars, like you said, it's not a rare thing. Cake jars are everywhere, but you said you had to make yours unique. So tell us about the trial and error that you went through when you was creating this frosting, to make your cake jars different from your competitors.
Okay, so when I was creating the frosting, I remember I have to have an original flavor, which is vanilla. So I'm creating the frosting, and I remember sometimes I would have my kids try it, and then my kids would be like, no, that's not it. And I'll try it again because I never really tried them myself. I always had my kids try them. So then I remember one time I really did it good, put the perfect amount of everything in there. And then my kid was like, oh my God, it tastes like ice cream. And I'm like, we got it. This is it. So then for the Reese's, then I just made it like a peanut butter ice cream so I just created different versions for every different flavor to really cater to everyone. It started off like that. So I didn't really have trial and error with the frosting per se, but as far as when I was putting the cake in the jar, it wasn't as pretty as it looks now. Like I always show before and after pictures of when I first started. Them jars was not nothing to look at. But I'm such a visual person, and I wanted it to sell itself by just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept perfecting that and seeing how do I have to make the frosting a little thicker? Do I have to make it a little loop? Like how can I make everything so it looks perfect? So then when I knew that customers were like, "Oh, that's cake. I thought that was a candle." Or then I knew I was like, "Okay, I got this perfected." Now people don't even believe that this is cake or this is a dessert in a jar because it looks so perfect. I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. Just kept doing it every day. I'm doing it every day anyway, so I couldn't do nothing but perfect it if I'm doing it every day and every day and every day.
Because it's become your craft now. You basically you get better at it every single day. So tell us about the workflow. So you had to perfect getting this into the jar, right? Is it just you? Are you running the business by yourself? Do you have freelancers that help you
Yeah.
out? Okay, so it's just you.
No, it's just me. So that has definitely been, setbacks sometimes because I can't do everything. I do have kids. I have two beautiful daughters, and they have to go to school. They have to eat. I can go without eating. My kids can't go without eating. They have to go to school. I have to cater to them. So it has been a challenge sometimes balancing family and balancing work. So that has definitely been a challenge, but I get it done. I will start hiring people, but I have to, get people to sign NDAs and, trust people and get to that level. But right now, I'm just running this all by myself.
Yeah, and that's a full time job plus overtime. Like I could only imagine just not only the process of creating the cake jars, but just getting it into the jars, like you said. Like I can only imagine how much time that
Right, it
takes.
is very time consuming, and then I do all my deliveries myself as well. I have partnered up with Grubhub recently, but my customers they have that. I have special relationships with all my customers, so they love to see me, and then I greet them and we speak for a minute, and then I go on to the next delivery. So it's very personable relationship that I have with my customers.
Mm-hmm.
So
What is your most popular flavor that you have currently?
well, there's not one. I have the 6 top flavors, which is strawberry crunch, banana pudding, Oreos and cream, Twix,
Mm-hmm.
Cali Dream. Everything with strawberry is pretty much a top. Like the strawberry shortcake, the strawberry crunch, and the strawberry cheesecake. I have a sweet Georgia brown, which is a peach cobbler cheesecake that everyone loves. Like I have one that caters to everyone, so it's really hard to say what's a favorite.
Because
there's a flavor for everyone.
Cause I had saw one of your viral posts. That's how I initially found out about you.
It was the circus apple cheesecake.
That's what it was.
You mean with the cookie on top?
It was pink. Was it pink? Cause the one I saw
was
pink.
Yes,
Okay.
that was the circus animal cheesecake.
Wow.
That did go viral. That is one of our top now because that was actually an experiment. Like a customer had asked me to make her that, and it was just a custom jar at first. It wasn't even on the menu. Like if you want me to make you a custom jar, I can make you anything, put it in the jar, but it'll be $12. It's not really on the menu. So I was like, sure. And then it came out really nice, and I had only made 3. So it came out really nice, and I had took pictures and videos, and I posted it. And I woke up the next day, and it was all these shares and likes and views, and I was like, oh my god, it went viral, and I couldn't believe it. And then everyone's hit me up for it, and I was like, I only had 3. So it was just overload that day.
So you had to make more of that flavor?
Yes, I had to make 3 cases.
Wow, that's amazing though.
Yeah.
So how often do you experiment? So you said that was an experimentation because somebody asked you. Do you do any experiments on your own whenever you have some leisure time?
I used to because when I first started, I only had 8 flavors because I was like, hey, let me do the top. I googled what's the top cake flavors because I wasn't a big cake person, so it was just so crazy how it came up to this because my favorite cake is Carvel cake because it's ice cream. That's my thing. So the cake, I was like, what do people like? Because I don't know. I don't really do that. So I googled it. I was like, chocolate, vanilla strawberry shortcake, and that's how I came up with the 8 flavors. And then when I would go to the grocery store to get the stuff for the 8 flavors, I would see other stuff and other ideas would come to